And is it okay? It looks like it's going. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm finally getting this done in between. Just a bunch of stuff I had to get done this week and just got pushed back and pushed back. Plus, getting a new audio set up and troubleshooted. I'm never sure about the past tense on that, but should be up and going now, and hopefully this sounds a lot better, or at least doesn't sound like garbage. So, how you doing, Chris? Nope. Are you there, Chris? All right, he was there a minute ago. All right, let's see. We got
having
Pierre.
Connection issues on my end, but
oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
And we got Pierre and Big Black Hawk in the comments so far, and an earlier one for Kodo Roshinoto or something like that, who took it. I'm not sure when they posted that, but because there've been a couple false starts with this, but yeah. So apparently Pierre says this is pretty bad, even for a political test. But we'll go through it. This is the 6 triangles test, and apparently the big point with this one is that instead of just 2 dimensions like an axis for economics and an axis for personal, whatever, they each have like 3 different axes. So like for economics, you have control versus regulation. Not sure what the distinction is there. Versus markets. For personal freedom is freedom versus security versus truth. I guess we'll figure out as we go what this is gonna be all about. I haven't taken this yet, but I have loaded up just for testing, and apparently all the questions are in a random order. So if you want to follow along, well, apparently you're not gonna be able to, but hang on just a minute. Let me turn myself up. Okay. Like I said, I'm still trying to... what's that? What was that, Chris?
I said, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't know why my connection is crashing.
All right. Big Black Hawk says, I'm guessing this is similar to values. Well, I guess we'll figure it out.
You're cutting in and out.
What about the chat? Is the chat hearing me through YouTube fine? You know what? I think it may be. I ran into this with my older audio setup. Let me go into my Discord settings. What was it? I think I had to turn down the sensitivity. How about that? Does that sound better? Hey, Chris, can you hear me?
I can hear you better. The only problem is I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Am I cutting in and out now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
No.
Okay, well, the chat is saying they can hear me.
I don't know why. I mean...
Okay, I've taken my input sensitivity on Discord all the way down, so there shouldn't be...
I can't see anything because it just doesn't want to connect.
Is it on your end or is it mine or what?
It says I've only got 1 bar of voice connection. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Okay.
Looks like it's on my end. I don't know. Hang on.
All right, I'm going to assume that it's on your end and go ahead and get going with this. So yes, this is the 6 triangles quiz. So we'll see what this is all about. I'm just gonna go for the long form, 144 questions. Why not? That means there's not going to be that much time for badinage and ballyhoo, but
it says 5,000 ms. So.
I don't know. Were you hearing me just now? Yeah. Those of you just joining us, yeah, we're troubleshooting a new audio setup here. So.
Kinda. I do not know what the hell's wrong here.
Maybe if you listened through YouTube, I know there'd be a lag, but... Yeah.
Okay, I see everything now. I guess it's... Yeah, it just
Right.
says my connection's low. I don't know what's going on.
All right. Maybe if you listen through YouTube, it'll be okay. Hello, Derek. This is something called the Six Triangles quiz that we're gonna go through. And T. Douglas McIntosh is imitating Freddie Mercury, but we'll go on from there. Question 1 of 144, 12 by 12. Children of the wealthy should only be able to become wealthy if they have their own independent idea. Well, according to who? Who's going to stop them from becoming wealthy? Yeah. I mean, I guess that, they themselves would, because, there was the rags to riches to rags story, because someone makes a bunch of money and then passes the business on to their kids, but the kids either aren't good with money or aren't good at running a business or whatever, and then they blow it all or whatever. But I'm going to say strongly disagree. The government occasionally needs to do things which aren't popular for the good of its people. Well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be popular for the government to stop existing, yet that would be a very good thing it could do. See, it shouldn't really be about popular, because right now, not popular would be things like, not banning, so-called assault weapons and things like that. So I don't know. I'm going to say strongly disagree. I can tell this is going to be one of those badly worded quizzes, though. The government should try to help the poorest people. Okay, anytime it starts with the government should, yeah. The government must regulate the economy, no. Any deals that another nation wants must be bad for us? I don't even know what kind of thinking that is. I think that might be a straw man. But anyway, we'll say strongly disagree. I do not trust the government to look after my interest. Well, I just need the first 6 words there. I do not trust the government. Strongly agree. International alliances are important to protect my nation. Well, I think anyone who knows the history of World War I is going to disagree with that. So, pornographic materials should be legal for the adult population? Sure. My nation should conquer other nations? No. It is important to maintain family values. I have no idea what that question's supposed to even mean. Are we talking about something the government's doing? I mean, what are family values anyway? I mean, people talk about, oh, well, family values. Those are the values in the Bible. It's like, have you read the Bible?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, are you on now?
I switched to my laptop. I figured out what was wrong. I accidentally, because I have Discord in an alternate tab on my laptop, and I had it muted.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay,
it is
so
important
what I miss?
It is important to maintain family values. I'm trying to figure out what this question means.
Oh yeah, because I mean, that's up to each individual family,
Well, whatever the values are for your family, those are your family values.
Not to mention, what if the family values are bad? Like what if you live, with an inbred cannibalistic family, and the family value is if you see a stranger, you kill them with a chainsaw and you cook them up and eat them.
I was just thinking of that Stephen Wright joke. No matter what temperature a room is, it's room temperature.
So. Speaking of Stephen Wright, I once saw him at a general store. We both got kicked out because we asked for something specific.
Yeah. Let's see. A nation should obey its leadership without question. Oh, don't even get me started on that one. I mean, I know it's asking about blindly obeying, but a nation doesn't do anything. Only individuals do. So,
yeah.
I can tell already. I think I'm going to be agreeing with Pierre that this is going to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Diplomatic options should always be tried before war is even considered. Yeah. I don't know of any situation where war would be, properly considered. Government
Then
regulations.
again, I will say I was gonna about to say earlier about diplomatic is that another thing a lot of questions like that don't want to talk about is there are some scenarios where you just shouldn't get involved, period. This has nothing to do with you, just
Yep.
leave it. Yeah.
Government regulations rarely completely solve the problem they are intended to fix. True, and they have all sorts of side effects that are never good.
I disagree. Government regulations rarely completely solve. How about they never completely solve?
Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, strongly agree.
Popular opinion should have little influence on government policy. I think there's an
Uh
embedded assumption in here that I'm having trouble with. I mean, what's the alternative there? Oh, you're going in and out again, Chris.
oh, sorry. I was having some issues, so I reset.
All right.
Reset the
Popular
settings.
opinion.
Okay.
Popular opinion should have little influence on government policy.
Yeah, whatever the hell does that
I'm
means.
just staying neutral on that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with my policy of badly worded questions get answered with neutral.
Yep.
All right. Parents should be allowed to help their children succeed. I mean, who would be against that?
Oh yeah, exactly. Unless
Capitalism.
oh sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Unless you're the type of parent that thinks that your kid should always have straight A's, and if they get a B plus, it's like, oh my god, you're slipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the key phrase I think there was be allowed. All right.
Yeah.
Capitalism has problems. Well, ain't nothing perfect,
Yeah,
right?
nothing's perfect.
Everything's gonna have problems.
Yeah.
I
If it
mean, I
was so
might.
if it was so perfect, we wouldn't if it was perfect, we wouldn't be having this discussion because we would all automatically be doing it.
All right.
And that's the thing socialists don't want to answer. If socialism is so good and it benefits everyone, why does it have to be forced on the people?
Yep. Gay marriage should be illegal. Yeah, disagree.
Mm.
Strictly regulated capitalism is the ideal economy. Well, forgiving the fact that there's no such thing as strictly regulated capitalism.
Yeah, that's what
Strongly
we call
disagree.
syndicalism. That's what we call
Yeah.
syndicalism. I know technically it's to be used the word as corporatism, but I prefer to use the word syndicalism because corporatism is a spin-off of syndicalism.
Capitalism should fundamentally be replaced. Well, considering capitalism is voluntary interactions, there's only one thing you can replace voluntary interactions with, so no thank you.
Yeah. Yep.
How's the test so far? Well, JC, it's pretty bad. Let's see. Police need more power and protection. Nah, I don't think so. Hey, Pep, how you doing?
Oh no, they got enough of that.
A nation must have
Oh, you won't.
strong leadership to be successful. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Reminds me of a video. Reminds me of a video I saw. I saw it was about Machiavellian, that Italian philosopher. Yeah, and apparently Machiavellian said it's like listen, the reason why leaders shouldn't cave in is because that's what they're supposed to do. But I just want to ask: has Machiavellian ever thought of maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't have a leader?
Yeah. Yeah, Machiavelli
Yeah,
had his issues. Most or
yeah.
all of the. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, I think Machiavellian should be treated the same way we view we view the guy that came up with the idea of nationalism. Just throw him in the gutter where he belongs. And the only time he should be taught in history class is only when when you're teaching what not to do.
These questions are either way loaded or severely lacking in context. Yeah, that's true. Most or all of the economy should be nationalized. How about none of it?
Mm. Yeah.
Prostitution should be legal? Sure. The government should require people to eat healthy. Well, aside from the fact I don't think government should require us to do anything, what does eating healthy mean? I mean, government's going to pass all these regulations about healthy eating, but then next year the science is updated and...
Well, if I recall correctly, it was the government, that told everyone you got to eat less meat, you got to eat more veggies and grain, and now it's revealed that eating too much grain and veggies is actually bad for you.
Yeah. Well, and like, eggs used to be bad for you, now they're good for you, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You should be able to become rich if you work harder than everyone else, regardless of how wealthy your family was. That's like 3 or 4 questions in one.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, but it's like...
But I mean, it's not a guarantee,
Yeah, I mean, it's not a guarantee, but
but I mean, you can work your butt off. If you work your butt off at the wrong thing, you won't get anywhere.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I might have to say neutral on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say neutral. Bad question.
Loaded question.
It's a bad question, and they should feel bad. Democracy often allows the majority to infringe on the rights of those who dissent. Yeah, I don't know if it really does anything else, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Walter Williams had a good video that said, when people are like, but how can you be against democracy? He said, well, imagine if everything decision you made was put up to a democratic vote.
Hey, Omega 7, glad you could make it while we're live. And hello, Master of Muppets. Smoking should be legal. By the way, on all these questions about legal or illegal, I'm going to assume they mean government force, but something being legal really means that it's up to the property owner. So do you want to allow smoking, on your own property?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, if I recall correctly, smoking already is legal.
Children should not be able to inherit anything from their parents. Wrong. I mean, who else is going to get it? Government.
Yeah, those people that are like, well, we believe in that you should be allowed to have private property, but the rule should be is that once you die, everything you get is taken away from you and distributed. It's like, how's that going to work?
Yeah. Distributed to whom? Well, it's not fair that the kids would get something for nothing. Well, what about the people you're going to distribute it to, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
My country should not have elections or votes. Yeah. No elections, no votes. Strongly agree.
Yeah. But here's the thing, political quiz. It's not because we believe in dictatorships. It's because we believe that government should have little to no authority at all. So if they have little to no authority, then what's the point in having an election?
A nation without a military is a weak nation. Disagree on that one.
Yeah. Well, again, what do you define as a military? Because
Gary Johnson says, in an anarcho-communist democratic society, the racist workers could cut out minorities, but they like to ignore that. Yeah, that's true. People would be better off without a government. There we go. One I can get behind.
Yeah.
Healthcare should be a right guaranteed to all people. Yeah.
Well, depends on what you mean by right.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you said, that's the problem, is because it's like, well, what do you mean by right? Do you mean right as in no one's stopping you from getting it, or right as in an entitlement, meaning someone must provide it?
Regulation cannot fix all the problems in the economy. Yeah, I'm not sure it can solve any of them, but anyway.
Oh yeah, that's...
All people should get the same rewards regardless of their work. Strongly disagree on that one. I mean, who then will become a brain surgeon?
Yeah, exactly.
Or a sewage worker. If a sewage worker gets paid the same thing as, a clerk at the grocery store who's going to be a sewage worker.
Yeah, exactly.
The government is larger than it needs to be. Agree.
Yeah.
Society requires that some people must have power over others to function. No, that's how it malfunctions.
Yeah, exactly.
The population can protect itself better than government can protect it. Agree. If I have the right to bear arms, I don't have the right to force Armalite to give me a free AR-15. That's true, even though it's Colt now, not Armalite. But
yeah, Armalite. Well, technically, Armalite kind of sort of exists, but
they don't make the
basically
AR-15 anymore because the AR-15 was bought by Colt.
Yeah, it got merged into the Colt Firearms Company. So,
well, I think first what happened was Colt bought the AR-15, and then later on Armalite got merged in or something like that. I don't know. That's what people were saying when they were correcting me on it, at any rate. So.
Oh yeah, I mean,
the government should not prosecute people for expressing an opinion. Agree? Oh, here's another bad one. We should put effort into expanding civilization beyond Earth. Well, I'm in favor of that, but I'm not in favor of government doing it or doing it by force.
Yeah, exactly. People, it's one of those. It's like,
what do you mean by that? If people want to do it.
Yeah, do you mean like, do people, like, do they voluntarily go into space so they can do things like terraform the moon and Mars and set up a colony there? Are you saying the government should set up a space force and go to other planets and automatically declare, oh, this is, this is, territory of the United States Space Command?
I think I'm going to say strongly agree because I'm a firm believer in having backups, Something wipes out life on this planet, we got it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Religious values should be taught in all schools. The word all makes it sound like they want to enforce it. So no, we can have completely secular schools. SpaceX, not NASA, exactly, Master of Muppets.
Yeah.
Society could not... Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, not to mention some of those religious values, I'm sorry, people, but when you read the Quran, Torah, and Bible in its entirety unedited, you'll be thinking, this is not a good value to live by.
Yeah. I think we had this question before. Society could not function without leaders and followers. Again, that's the only way it malfunctions.
Yeah.
I would support a maximum wage. No. We must sacrifice some freedoms to protect our country from terrorism. No.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Well, and then they come up with, crazy definitions of terrorism.
And not to mention, they always say, "Oh, don't worry, it's only going to be implemented, but when the war's over, we'll get rid of them." And then they proceed to do everything to make sure the war keeps going on as long as possible. It's like, well, we're only going to implement this rule until we get Saddam Hussein out of power. Okay, he's out of power. War's over. Oh, no, we got to set up ground and rebuild the country.
A maximum wage Omega-7 would be like when people talk about like capping CEO salaries. Oh, you're not allowed to make more than $400,000 a year or whatever. That's what a maximum wage is.
Which, if you do that, then what's going to incentivize people to get that high? It's like, what's the point?
Travis, how you doing? Travis Retriever in the chat.
What?
Let's see.
Hey, Pip Boy 3000.
How you doing, Pip? All right, I'm not hearing Pip.
I kind of heard him.
All right, while he's working on that, I'll look at this next question because it's got this weird collective language thing. Nations should cooperate with each other unless there's a compelling reason not to. But nations don't do anything. Individuals do. Individuals should cooperate with each other, even if they're in other nations.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm going to agree to that. I would not want to live in a country where everyone had the same salary. Well, not if it's forced.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd want a chance at like bettering myself and getting a raise and things like that. So
Yeah.
are you on now, Pip?
Am I?
Are you? Hello.
Hello?
I can hear him. I can hear
All
you,
right.
Pip.
At any rate, officials who intentionally deceive the population should be put in prison. Oh my God, that sounds really dangerous.
Yeah,
I
I
am
mean,
looking on the Discord thing, and I have like this perpetual green ring around me. Are you all constantly getting noise from me, or?
on my end, you're kind of roboting.
I just didn't know if. Let me check that again.
All right, how many?
All right, I think that took care of it.
Okay.
Okay, foreign policy has little influence on most people's daily lives. How would you even start to evaluate that?
Yeah, exactly. Because not to mention it
mean,
depends on your foreign policy. Because
well, I mean, if you've got a good foreign policy of free trade and open relations and things like that, then yeah, it's going to influence your life because you're going to live in a more peaceful, prosperous society. So
yeah,
every politician will go to jail. That's true, Derek.
Yeah. And of course, on the other opposite spectrum, if your policy is let's declare war on every single nation because they said mean things about us, well, yeah, it's going to affect the daily lives of both sides because the people you're declaring war with are going to have their houses bombed, and the people at home are going to be less free because of all the anti-terrorist rules and because you're going to be raising taxes to pay for the military. So,
yeah, and good to see Blake in the chat too, Blake Pettis.
I think the problem with this question, is, I could argue, I could disagree with it, but I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing that they're trying to say. Like, is this question, good or bad?
I'm not even going to try to predict that.
Yeah. Bad question.
I think I've already resigned myself to be that this is going to be another bad quiz with invalid results, and I'm just going with it now.
Yeah.
There should be no legal repercussions for using extremely offensive language. Agree.
Yeah.
Because what's offensive, it's in the eye of the beholder. Or ear in this case.
Yeah. Yeah.
Competition generally makes the economy better. Yep.
Yeah.
Popular opinion is not always right. Oh boy, howdy. Oppression by governments is a much more real threat. Oppression by corporations is a much more real threat than oppression by the government. Nope. If you're not oppressed by the government, then you can't really be oppressed by corporations because they can't get the power.
Yeah, it's funny. I hear all those people saying I'm being oppressed by this evil corporation because they're making me work these long hours at work and all that, this, that, and I'm like, then why don't you find a different job?
Or start your own business.
Yeah.
Public utilities
Oh,
go ahead.
I was about to say it's not like super big corporation can throw you in jail if you say screw you guys, I'm leaving to work somewhere else.
Okay. Public utilities like roads and electricity should all be publicly owned. Nope.
Yeah, you clearly never heard of Tragedy of the Commons.
Or read Murray Rothbard's The Myth of Natural Monopoly. So. There should be a national healthcare service. Nope.
Oh yeah, because it totally works in the United Kingdom.
It should be legal to alter your infant's DNA to make them stronger, smarter, etc. Well, what would the alternative be? A black market in genetic modifications?
Yeah, true.
So
You
I
know,
agree with that.
you gotta view stuff like that. You gotta view stuff like that the same way you view abortions. I would argue that it's morally not right, but if you try to ban it, then they're gonna go to the black market, and some shoddy black market geneticist is gonna say, well, yeah, I guaranteed your baby's gonna have a high IQ, but he's also gonna have 3 arms.
Well, I mean, if you're going to try to make it into a moral principle, I mean, if it's fixing a genetic defect, you might say, okay, well, that's fine, but making them smarter, well, that's, bad, but where would you draw the line?
Yeah, I know. It'd be too difficult to enforce.
People who get into power should keep power until they're forced to give it up. Shouldn't even have people in power, so.
Yeah.
Our nation should never initiate a war. Agree?
Yeah.
Those who disagree with the government should be removed from the country. Nope.
Nope.
I'm sure I could think of a logic trap on that one. Banks should tolerate more risk for disadvantaged communities to give them the opportunity to succeed as well. Did you live through 2008?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Actually, I don't want to try to get too off topic, but I saw a video by a YouTuber called The Company Man, and he did one on Bank of America and why they're hated. And he talked about how Bank of America, merged with that one firm that was giving out housing loans. And he said, and then when the 2008 recession hit, everyone was mad at them. And I'm just thinking, yeah, you know why that loan company gave out those loans? Because the government was telling them to.
Some industries, such as the Postal Service, should be government run. Mr. Lysander Spooner says no.
Yeah, or anyone that's ordered something off of Amazon, and it says it'll arrive within a couple of weeks, and you have no idea where it is. So you contact Amazon, and they show you everything's been shipped. It's been shipped, and then you call the post office. It's like, oh, it probably got lost.
Yeah.
Or stolen.
And Amazon will give you a refund for it. See if you get any love from the post office. Like, hey, you lost it. Shouldn't you compensate? Nope, won't do it.
Yeah. People get so angry when they hear stories about how it's like, oh, this Amazon employee stole my stuff. It's like, yeah, but you hear about it in the post office. It happens all the time, and they get away with it.
We should have a national religion. Well, we shouldn't have a national anything, but even if we should, it shouldn't be a religion.
Yeah.
JC says laughs in American Letter Mail Company. Yeah.
If I recall correctly, Spooner's company actually did good, and the only reason it failed was because the government basically passed a law that said, yeah, it's illegal to do it.
Yep. The government has no business looking into most people's personal lives. Agree. The government should never break up a company. Agree. There is nothing wrong with taking the resources of weaker nations. The implication there, I think, is by force. So,
yeah,
I'm going to say disagree.
Because I mean, if it's like free trade, then yeah, who cares?
Freedom of religion is an important concept. Yep. Those who take credit for the work of others should lose everything. Well, you shouldn't take credit for the work of others, but I don't know about lose everything.
Yeah. Well, not to mention, a lot of people like to hate on those CEOs by saying, oh yeah, this guy took credit, for something that a team did. But what if, like, the guy who took credit was the organizer? Like, he brought all those people together, One could argue without him, those people wouldn't have met, and they wouldn't have come together to create that thing. So...
That's true. And Blake says we shouldn't have a nation... Blake says we shouldn't have a nation or a religion. Yep, you got that right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to disagree with this one. Technological progress is always good. That word always makes me a little...
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, just listen, people.
Generally, in the market, if we're talking about like free market development, I'd say yeah, because even if the particular technology isn't good, the freedom to make it would be. But I mean, I wouldn't say the developing the nuclear bomb was good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's actually what a lot of scientists were being told too. It's like not only would the bomb end the war, think of all the scientific discoveries that can come from a weapon that'll kill everyone.
Progress's sake rarely ends well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the best way to put it is, there's good for progress, but the progress has to be done because it's actually improving life. It shouldn't just be progress for progress sakes, because that never works.
T. Douglas McIntosh says, I'm definitely atheist, but I'm on the road to Buddha. Well, when you meet him, kill him.
Yeah.
And I was saying, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. All right, how do I answer this one? Technological progress is always good. I'm going to say it's a bad question and say neutral.
Yeah, because like I said, I mean, I think the message here is, if you're going to make your own political quiz, people, please do not use the word always, because then it's like, well, what do you mean by always?
You should not have the right to make claims which are provably false. Well, then we'll all have to duct tape our mouths shut, because no one gets it right all the time.
Yeah, true,
I'd agree with the statement you should be held accountable for saying things that are provably false, but...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, if you
But
make
you
a
should
lie
not have
about someone and...
You should not have the right implies that there's going to be like a truth police to come and shut you down or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the problem with the statement.
On the road
Douglas,
to becoming a Buddhist.
I'm pretty sure Shane got what you were saying. He was just trying to make a joke there,
Yeah. I was just playing on that saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is said by Buddhists, by the way. So that's not a dig on their religion. That's what they say.
I've heard another funny joke too, which says, I'm on the road to find Jesus, and when I find him, I'm going to tell him, tag, you're it.
The Road to Jesus, starring Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Okay, you should not have the right to make claims which are provably I'm going to disagree with that. You should have the right to say whatever you want, but I mean, you can be held accountable for it. But...
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're telling a lie and you're unrepentant of it, like a lot of news media is, then yeah, everyone should say don't listen to you, but you should still be allowed to say it.
There should be no billionaires. Nope. I mean, aside from just the whole socialism crap, what happens when there's so much inflation that everyone's a billionaire? Like what happened in Brazil
exactly.
20 years ago or whenever that was.
And what's currently happening in Zimbabwe.
Yeah. Oh, people are trillionaires in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe.
You implement an economic policy that causes so much deflation that there are no more millionaires. Look, we got rid of all the millionaires, and all the communists go, no, that's not what we meant.
Yes, we're all billionaires now. All right.
Oh, what do you mean then? Yeah.
Companies that sneakily break regulations and are caught should be disbanded. Well, there shouldn't be regulations, so...
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it goes back to the whole people that they treat, tax evaders like they committed murder. It's like, oh, but they stole from people. What did they steal?
Each person should have an identically weighted vote. I guess we can weight it at 0, but I don't believe in voting.
What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
I mean, it's one thing, like, as Spooner said, if you're voting kind of defensively, but, as far as actually having elections. I did this to my daughter. I'm a horrible person. She was like, we were talking about like women voting. She was like, but Dad, you think that women should have the right to vote? And I was like, no, I don't. She was like, Dad. I said, and I don't think men should have the right to vote either. I don't think anyone should have the right to vote. And she laughed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are first informed. Go ahead.
Okay. I was about to say, a lot of women were actually surprisingly against the suffrage movement because for that reason they were afraid women were going to start voting and they were going to turn into lobbyists.
We are first and foremost citizens of Earth. I'll agree with that, except I don't like the idea of being a citizen, but yeah. I guess it depends on how you define citizen, but
And look, I'm sorry, environmentalists, but Earth is not a living being. It's a rock in space that has the atmosphere that makes conditions for life possible. But the Earth itself is just a rock.
But yeah, I'll agree with the spirit of that because
Yeah.
we are one humanity. So if you have nothing to hide, you should have nothing to fear from the government monitoring your communications. Like Edward Snowden said, that means that you shouldn't have to worry about the freedom of speech because you have nothing to say. So,
and not to mention, here's the thing:
everyone has something to hide. That does not mean everyone is doing something malicious. It's just that someone has something that they don't really want everybody else on the planet to know.
Right? Yeah, something to hide doesn't necessarily mean something malicious.
Not to mention, even if you truly, legitimately have nothing to hide, the police will figure it. We'll find something. They'll find something.
You should not have complete freedom of speech. Disagree. You can be held accountable for dumb things you say, but it is unfair. I already hate the question when it says unfair. It is unfair that the wealthy pay for tutoring their children to pass standardized tests, allowing them to further succeed. What kind of sociopath would disagree with that?
Not to mention, if your children are legitimately struggling, it's not that expensive to get a tutor. Heck, some colleges offer tutoring programs for free. And the students there are volunteer and they do it for...
There's an assumption baked into this question that the tests are extraordinarily difficult, and it's really difficult for children to pass them. It's like, why not fix the tests and the schooling system then? Yeah. You're just punishing people for trying to tutor their kids so they can pass the test. It's like,
well, and if the goal is for all of the kids to score equally on the test, okay, then we'll just all give them 85s. And everyone automatically gets an 85 on the test, and that saves them the bother even having to take it. So there you go. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Derek, so why do police not like people recording them if they've got nothing to hide, right? Yeah, kind of. The difference is the police are actually like on duty, and they're supposed to be working for us. So.
Well, the
so if a black man gets tutors for his kids, it's bad. Take that, SJW.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at former President Barack Obama. He didn't send his girls to a private school. To a public school. He sent them to the same rich private school that Joe Biden's grandkids go to.
Yeah, funny how the politicians never want to send their kids to those. Cracking down on speech usually makes what you were trying to censor spread more. Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, you never heard of a thing called the Streisand effect?
And it gives it an air of verisimilitude.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because if you go around trying to censor an idea, some people are going to think, hey, if the establishment, which we know currently isn't working, is trying to suppress it, maybe it's got a point.
The market will always make the best products unless the government intervenes. Well, that word best, again, ain't nothing perfect.
The market will always make the product people want unless the government intervenes. It's like, if that's your definition of best, sure.
Yeah, I think
that's another thing.
Sounding like a semantic quibble.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Because what defines the best? Like for soda, some people would say Coca-Cola is the best soft drinks. Others would say Pepsi, and some say I hate either. I stick with Dr. Pepper.
Well, it's all subjective, and that's why it should be left to the market.
Well, all three are in the marketplace as options, though. So the market as a whole is providing three products that are the best for different people.
And like you said, and like you've said before, Shane, sometimes you're just craving something different, Like, sometimes, like, some days you might say, I'm not really craving a Diet Coke today. I'll just get a Sprite or water, like that,
Yeah, you can change your mind. You don't have to stick with the same one.
Yeah.
We must respect the sovereignty of other nations, even those that go against our principles. I don't respect the sovereignty of any nation. I don't think that's what it's asking about.
Yeah.
It's asking about foreign interventionism, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, we should respect the sovereignty of any nation, regardless if we disagree with them. What about the Confederate States of America? Those guys were racist. They don't count.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about the sovereignty of Nazi Germany?
Yeah, exactly. Well, those were racist too. They don't count.
Yeah.
But then again, asking consistency for those types of people, it's like trying to get a cow to bark.
But I mean, I don't think this question is asking we should respect the terrible things that they do. I think it's asking about interventionism.
Well, yeah,
we shouldn't have respected the sovereignty of Nazi Germany because they invaded Poland. Right? So should we respect the sovereignty of the USSR because they also invaded Poland? The only correct answer, the only consistent answer here is no.
Or the United States because we invade everybody.
You have to answer no to the second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say if there's a nation that's that bad, I just say let it destroy itself.
Speculations and facts which cannot be confirmed for certain should never be published. Well, then how are you ever going to confirm them?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can make the argument that speculation shouldn't be published as fact. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to publish it.
But they also said facts that can't be...
I mean, yeah. It's like...
We should reduce our welfare program, reduce it to 0. Private schools should be banned. I think public schools should be banned.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, I actually saw this, Shane, is that a lot of people say, well, look at Finland. They banned all private schools and their education is good. And I looked it up and that's complete bogus. They did not ban private schools. They did ban for-profit schools, but they do allow private non-charity schools in.
Well, and they also have school choice and a money follows the child policy. So.
Yep, that too.
They're not white, so they can't be racist. Of course.
Yeah, that was my response to Omega 7, who said, "What about China? They're racist. How come we can't disrespect their sovereignty?" And I said, because they're not white, so they can't be racist. Everyone knows non-whites can't be racist.
We should make products in our own nation whenever possible. David Ricardo says no.
Yeah. And here's another thing, too. If you want that to happen, if you want more domestic products to be made, well, maybe you should try easing up on the regulations and labor laws.
The media should make more of an effort to report facts rather than opinions. I have no problem with them reporting opinions if they report them as opinions.
Yeah. In all honesty, that's why even though Fox News is full of crap too, the reason why I have better respect for them than I do for other one is because at least most of the Fox anchors, they acknowledge that they're opinionists. I mean, even Fox calls their anchors opinionists, whereas groups like CBS are all like, well, it's a fact that nobody likes politician X, and we only ask people who already agree with us.
Well, what about all the people who voted for that politician then?
Oh, well, they're racist. They're racist, so they don't count.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I should not have to pay for things I get no benefit from. Agree.
Yeah, that's why taxation is theft.
If AI can govern better than humans can, then AI should rule. I don't want AI or humans ruling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like...
But if I disagree, am I saying that humans should rule, or?
Well, here's a joke that I think we said I think we said before. If we created a super perfect AI and told them, okay, you are in charge of the country and you have to govern the nation, so everyone is the happiest and prosperous they can be, the AI would shut itself off permanently.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Alright.
I am like the AI would just go, I am not capable of making decisions for every single individual that best suits them, so I'm just going to do nothing.
So do I say neutral on this one because it's a terrible question, or do I disagree?
I would go neutral because, like I said, because what defines as better, because like I said, our personal opinion and the general evidence tends to go to the less government does, the better people are off. But it's not saying that,
The government should not officially support any religion or lack of religion. How do you support a lack of religion? That doesn't make any sense. But the government should not is generally, that's how you start a question I agree with. So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, Douglas, because the first thing the AI would do would be shut itself off.
Yeah.
The government should almost always follow the majority opinion. If the whole idea is to have government follow the majority, then why would you need a government?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the majority is going to do what the majority is going to do. Government has too much power. There we go. Another one I can sink my teeth into.
Yep.
Climate change is a real threat. Oh boy.
I
mean, it's a problem.
Not man, bear, pig. Not man, bear, pig again.
A real threat. I think I'm going to say neutral because that's a...
Yeah, because I mean, man, bear, pig will cause some problems, but he's not going to be this big thing that wipes out all life on Earth.
It should not matter who you are. It should not matter who... I'm sorry, go ahead, Pip.
Never mind. I just find it funny that they've gone from global warming to climate change now. It's like, well, which one is it?
It should not matter.
Yeah, exactly.
It should not matter who you are, only what you can do. I'll go along with that one, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a simplified way of saying it's not the color of your skin, but the quality of your character.
Yep. My nation should focus primarily on domestic policy. Oh, God. Should I just call every question that has the word nation in it a bad question?
Yeah, probably. Because, I mean, they treat, the nation like it's a living being. It's not.
Yeah, I'm going to go neutral. It is important for a government to maintain a strong military so that it can have global influence. You're talking me out of a military on that one.
If you're using your military to influence other countries, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
You mean like an empire?
If given the chance, I would implement my ideology in my country, even if most people were against it. Well, considering my ideology is letting people implement their own ideology for their own lives.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the long one, JC.
My ideology is not implementing my ideology by force against other people.
Well, our ideology is do whatever the fuck you want as long as you don't hurt anyone else in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to call this a bad question. Neutral.
Bad question. Well, because, like I said, if it was for us, you'd be pretty good. But what if there was a guy, who was a big, guy who wanted to be a big tyrant?
The wealthy have far more than they need. Well, maybe they do, but so what?
Everyone.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things I don't need.
Western country has far more than they need. Like, define need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I really need a smartphone? I could probably get away with an old style,
Yeah.
regular phone.
Yeah, that's another loaded word I hate is when people say need.
Do I need this Rubik's Cube?
Why do you need that?
I don't know. Do I need this Rubik's Cube?
Do you need that? Do you need that haircut?
Yeah. I need a haircut. This is getting ridiculous. All right. So, yeah, I disagree. There should be no welfare. Okay, now this is my kind of question again. The economy should consist of private companies with some regulations to ensure fair competition. But regulations don't ensure fair competition. Regulations inhibit competition.
Oh yeah. Why do you think the big corporations are the ones that lobby for regulation?
This questionnaire has a lot of questions that assume you agree with the in-baked premise in the question.
Yeah, and that's what we keep seeing with these quizzes over and over again. There's this in-baked, assumption that it makes you, if you disagree with the assumption, how do you answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just so they can get away with saying, "Oh, you disagree with all this. That means you're a fascist."
I'm going to disagree on that one. There should be no legal repercussions for supporting any ideology. Well, if the ideology is you can rape and murder whoever you want, I'm going to have something to say about that.
Well, I mean, as long as you're not acting out on them, I mean.
Yeah. If we're just talking about, a way of life, lifestyle choices, then yeah, sure.
That's why, in all honesty, that's why I can't stand people who are supporters of who are GG Allen hedonists, because it's because I was watching a video about GG Allen, who, for those who don't know, was a rock and roll singer who was infamous because he believed that you should be allowed to do whatever you want, whenever you want, to hell with consequences. And one guy was like, GG was doing something that we all secretly want to do, but we don't have the balls to do. And I'm thinking, no, we don't do that stuff because we're not psychopaths like he was.
The government should not regulate the economy at all. I love these that are just boom. Even if it's the other way, even if it's disagree, if it's just clear, boom, no ambiguities. International law should not bind my nation. International law shouldn't bind any nation. There should be no such thing as international law.
Especially because most nations that pass them don't even follow through with them, or they immediately start making up an exception. Yeah.
I'm gonna say neutral on this one. Bad question.
Yeah.
The government would be best if the people directly voted on most issues. No. The government provides some important services for the population. No. Even if it does, it shouldn't. For any economic problem, there is a regulation that can fix it. No.
Nope. And in many cases, the regulation created a problem that wasn't there to begin with.
Your income should be directly tied to the value of what you produce. Well, when is it not? Unless you work for the government, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that's the thing about Marx is that they assume everything's objective, but it's not. I mean.
Yeah, Andy, I've done the race IQ thing many times. Yeah.
It's not even that. There's a bigger problem with Marxists is that they like to ignore certain types of labor.
Oh yeah.
How do I answer this one? I'm going to say neutral. If I have to think that much about it, it's a bad question, and I'm going to say neutral.
Yeah. You wrote a bad question, Petey.
The world would be better off if countries diplomatically united into a single world government. Oh my, no.
Oh yeah.
Sorry guys, give me a second. I got a pill reminder here. Okay, Derek Johnson, it doesn't matter if you invested your life to something and joined a week ago, you didn't work harder. Not following that grammatically. Social media should be responsible for fact-checking advertisements that they host. I don't think so. That'd be kind of a job, wouldn't it? I mean, whatever happened to caveat emptor? It should be legal to scream fire in a crowded building when there's no fire. Well, yeah, you're just going to be responsible for any problems that result from it.
Like, you should be able to yell fire in a crowded theater, but you should be also responsible for the medical bill of the people that get trampled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seriously doubt that would happen if you actually tried it.
Yeah. Not to mention,
it's like people that make the argument you shouldn't be able to yell fire in a crowded theater ignore the fact that, in all likelihood, someone's just going to stand up and say, "No, there isn't, you idiot! Sit down, shut up, and let us enjoy the movie."
Yeah.
Oh, Blake, Shane's already addicted. He's addicted to not being in pain.
Actually, neither of those were opioids. There was a naproxen and gabapentin, if you're curious.
Yeah.
It is our duty to topple regimes that violate human rights. Duty.
Yeah. Yeah, that rarely ever works. It's like, yeah, we overthrew Saddam Hussein, but now there's this crazy radical fundamentalist, group that thinks that stoning women is okay, and they're gaining traction in the country that they never had before.
That's a good point, JC. Has it ever actually happened that someone yelled fire in a crowded theater and there was this big stampede or something?
Yeah.
It is important to protect our national identity from other cultures. I hate everything about this question.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that if I recall correctly, America was founded on a lack of national identity,
Yeah.
Considering how much so-called national identity changes even when in contact with an opposing culture, this question makes no sense. And every single time that a government has attempted to enforce a particular kind of national culture, they've ended up destroying parts of their own national culture. It's like, just leave it alone.
Our nation would do better if it did not involve itself with other nations, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Excessive government intervention hurts the economy. Pretty much any government intervention hurts the economy.
Yeah.
People who are poor choose to be poor. This sounds like another one of those strawman things that no one actually says.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say they choose to be poor, but I will say this here. I have seen a couple of scenarios where people who are homeless are kind of homeless of their own faults, because they're alcoholics, or that they don't want to admit it.
Well, no, I mean, or even like Adrian Lamo. I mean, he was homeless because he wanted to be homeless, and he just traveled the country, crashing with whoever.
Yeah, it's shocking.
I kind of liked him up until the point he completely betrayed Chelsea Manning and everything else he said he stood for. Anyway. I disagree. Whistleblowers who leak classified information that costs lives should be prosecuted. Well, considering I haven't actually seen an example of any of them actually costing lives.
Yeah, they always say that they're like these leaks compromised missions, destroyed years of critical information, and led to the death of several U.S. military personnel and spies. Oh, really? Where are they? Well, we can't tell you because that's classified.
Yeah, they can't point to one single person who is dead because of Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange. So,
and even if they are dead, and even if there was a person dead, there's a pretty good probability that the person who did die probably shouldn't have been there to begin with.
I support regional unions such as the European Union. No.
No.
Small government is usually better than big government, and no government is better than small government. So I guess I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
The government should run the healthcare insurance industry. Oh my God, no.
You mean like what they're doing now?
Murder and theft should be illegal.
Well,
I mean, because even in an anarcho-capitalist society, you'd have DDROs, enforcing that, and you'd have, citizens with arms. So yeah, you try and murder someone, and they're gonna.
Yeah, reminds me of those people that are like, in an ANCAP society, we'll stop another person from buying a bunch of mercenaries and taking something by force, because you'll have the option to arm yourself and get your own posse together. I mean, ironically, that actually is kind of what happened in the Wild West, and why the Wild West was relatively peaceful. It was because, it's because if you formed a gang and said, I'm going to go take the property, and you did that, people were going to form their own posse, so the next time you showed up, they'd be ready for you. So,
but it's like that. That's how those myths get around, like Billy the Kid. There were two people that Billy the Kid killed in self-defense. Everyone else that he killed as part of a posse.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So, people who spread misinformation should be punished. Punished by the market, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Again, define misinformation.
And define punished.
Well, and here's the thing, by this logic, then that means the Onion should be shut down and its people should be thrown in prison.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, because what if you're a satirist? What if you're a satirist?
No person should pay a higher percentage of tax on their income than another. No person should pay more than 0% on their income tax.
Yeah.
How do I answer that one?
Shane, how will the government build the roads?
Yes, how will the government screw up building the roads?
Yeah, I mean, a little off topic, but it reminds me of that one live stream we had where we made a joke where it's like, but who will build the roads? And one person said, well, if we were a truly anarcho-capitalist society, we would have progressed technologically that we wouldn't have needed roads anymore.
Yeah.
Because we'd have those sci-fi travel tube thingies.
Well, maybe we never would have developed roads because we would have developed hovercraft and we wouldn't need them.
Yeah, who knows?
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Hovercraft are not that difficult.
Yeah.
I'm going to say neutral. Bad question. Bad question. Capitalism is better than any existing alternative.
Well, duh.
Capitalism is the ability to try alternatives. All drugs should be legal for the adult population, yet.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Police should be regulated more.
Well...
I don't like the wording.
Yeah, I mean, because the problem with the police isn't lack of regulation, it's a lack of accountability, mostly because... Yeah. Almost everywhere, the police is the only, form of law enforcement,
I'm tempted to say neutral on this one because it's just such a bad question.
Bad, yeah, bad. Because it's like
Yeah,
they're saying, well, we
neutral.
still want the police to be a we want the police to still be a monopoly, but we still want to keep them.
It is important for national security that some materials are classified. No.
Yeah, national security, aka the buzzword to do whatever they want, you know.
If a nation produces materials for us for a low price using cheap labor, we should still buy. Yeah, that's competition.
Yeah, and
I don't
know,
know. Buy
I
whatever
never
you want.
understood-
If you are willing to pay more for something that's made in the USA, then go for it.
Yeah. Although I will say this, it reminds me of those people that are talking about sweatshops, and it's like, you know, it's one thing that makes me laugh is when they say about how, did you know that in these sweatshops people are only getting paid $2 an hour? And it's like, yeah, and then they're in a third world country where $2 American can actually get you a lot.
Yep.
You know. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and in fact, that cheap labor, you're actually doing the best thing possible for them by buying from them. Because you're helping their economic development and making it so they'll be able to, to get better jobs.
Yeah, the way I see it's like people complain that China is using cheap labor to flood the market with cheap products. It's like in taking American jobs, it's like, well, okay, we'll get rid of minimum wage laws so that our wages can adjust to compensate. Oh, but that would we're already like the cheap Chinese goods are already part of the market, so that's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Now, to play the devil's advocate, China also uses a lot of, prison labor, which I'm against, but, again,
yeah, well,
trade
so did
embargoes
Kamala
aren't gonna-
Harris.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I care that other nations respect my nation. I don't even respect my nation.
Yeah. Well, and it reminds me.
I have any respect for my own government. It's not
Well,
an
it kinda
assumption you should
reminds
be
me-
making.
I like my country, but I don't like my government.
Well, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of this joke that I saw this one Irish comedian said, where he jokingly said, "You want to know why America and Ireland are two of the best nations in the world? Because everyone looks at us and they're like, oh, look what those crazy Irish and Americans are doing. And we're one of the few nations that say, yeah, well, up yours too. We don't give a crap."
Those who work especially hard should be rewarded with more wealth. Well, see, this is one of those things. If you're working especially hard, digging a ditch and then filling it back in again, it's not really about hard work. It's about how much improvement you give other people's lives. So, you guys there?
You can also argue that, like, if you're living in the woods in the middle of nowhere, farming your own food and getting your own water, it's like, yes, you should absolutely have the right to keep what you produce for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Until the U.S. Marshals come after you.
But that doesn't mean that.
Ruby Ridge.
But that doesn't mean that you work as much as a millionaire does, and so you deserve a mansion.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to say neutral on this one.
You have the right to the sweat of your own brow. How much value that sweat produces for other people is up for debate.
Yeah. You gotta do something that they like. So, all right, neutral. Protesting the government should be illegal? No way. This channel would shut down entirely. All people should be guaranteed housing. Nobody's guaranteed anything. Not in this universe.
Yeah, and if you see what some of those government housing projects are like, a lot of people would be like, yeah, I'd rather be on the street.
In order for humanity to survive, we must get past having separate nations. I wonder about that word separate. As opposed to what? A single world government?
Yeah, that's my problem with this question is because it's like, are you saying like, we should abolish all governments and just let everyone, move freely, or are you saying we should merge all the governments into one super government?
See, that's why I'm going to say neutral on this one. Bad question, because I don't know which one it's asking.
Yeah.
Marijuana should be legal for the adult population. I think we already covered that one, except it was drugs in general.
Yeah.
It is sometimes
Yeah.
necessary to ban some substances from the general population. No. Banning things. That's just
that never works. I mean, I do not get why people did not learn from the 18th Amendment. Like, why do people not want to learn from history? Like,
people should have the power to choose their leaders. You mean individually? If a guy down the street, wants to say, hey, I want this guy as my leader and I want him to tell me what to do, okay, he can go for that.
Yeah.
Is that what the question's asking? Or are they talking
I don't know.
A countrywide thing?
Too vague. Like, neutral, too vague.
Neutral.
Yeah, too vague.
Plastic straws should be banned.
Nope.
See, I like the non-vague ones like that.
Yeah. And by the way, with plastic straws, I actually read that whole thing about how you use like millions of straws every year. It was, if I recall correctly, that was later proven to be bunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, there's such a tiny amount of plastic inside a single straw. It's just amazing if you melt it down how little it is.
Yeah.
The government should be able to access. Sorry, what was that, Pip?
Even if it was true that we use millions of straws per day, it's like, all right, well, how much material and energy does it require to create an individual straw compared with a straw made from a different material? Yep. It's less if it's plastic. Oh well, what's the problem then?
Yeah. Well, then you have goofy things like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying, but all that plastic's made from oil, that means it contributes to global warming. How? You're not burning it.
Yeah,
if anything, you're sequestering it and making sure that it doesn't. Oh.
Yeah, exactly, Puppets. It's just a feel-good policy. Yeah.
The government should be able to access the phones of convicted criminals to find additional criminals. No.
Because then you get like what happens with the CP laws, where it becomes a fishing expedition.
There are only 2 genders. What if I don't think there are even 2 genders? There's 1 gender, person. How about that? There we go. Now I disagree with everybody.
There are no genders. You're all equally worthless.
You're all pieces of shit and I can prove it mathematically. I think I'm just going to say neutral on this one. Because what the hell is a gender anyway? I mean, if you're talking about biological sex, then that's one thing.
Oh yeah, there's only 2 sexes,
But it doesn't say sexes, it says genders. Oh, there was this one, this one line in a Doctor Who, Missy, who was a Time Lord, was talking about like all of these, different kinds of people, like artists, architect, and things like that. And I forget what someone had said about the kinds of people they were, and she said, no, those were genders. So to Time Lords, genders is, how you choose your lifestyle. Are you an artist, a scientist, whatever?
Well, even if you want to be like 100% absolutely scientifically accurate, you'd have to say there are 2 sexes plus outliers.
Yeah, but gender isn't the same thing, really. That's why it's such a terrible question. Government and industry. Opinion, go ahead.
I was about to say, in my honest opinion, the concept of gender, that has more to do with your psychology than it does with your sex.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's a state of mind.
There are infinite genders.
Yeah.
The infinite variability of human personality.
Government-owned industry is usually a bad idea. Yeah, I can get behind that one. Everything that can be left... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened to the Chernobyl power plant. That was government-owned.
Everything that can be left to the free market should be. Yep.
Yep.
Social media...
Which is almost everything.
Social media platforms should be required to remove posts which promote conspiracy theories. Well, what's a conspiracy theory? Exactly. There are a lot of conspiracies that have actually happened. Was Watergate a conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
I have a theory.
Should they have shut down all coverage? Woodward and Bernstein should have been kicked out. And then, you know.
I have a theory that involves a conspiracy of people. Oh, you're such a dangerous radical. You should be banned. What?
Oh,
it's just the fact that they should be required to do anything that I'm against. So I'll say disagree on that basis.
And not to mention, as we said earlier, if you censor these conspiracy theories, what does that say from the conspiracy theorist point of view? They're trying to stop me. It means I'm right.
Yep. Consumer protection laws to ensure products are safe are important. No, they're not. Never needed them.
We've already got plenty of consumer product organizations that were privately set up.
Yep. The media should report facts even when the media disagrees with the implications of them. I mean, I'm not in favor of restrictions on the media. If they want to, exercise a little editorial discretion.
And again, like I said earlier, what if they're a satirist, like Babylon Bee or The Onion,
I'm going to say neutral on this one.
Yeah.
Bad question. There can never be a government without corruption. Yep, government pretty much is corruption. Private jets should be banned. No. Why would you do that? My nation should private jets. So we should only have government airlines?
Yeah, we already kind of have that.
That's the point.
We kind of already have that. I mean, because all the airline companies were forcibly merged by the government. So
yeah, that's true.
Like the only difference between a so-called private jet and an airline jet is that the so-called private jet isn't available for rent by other people.
Well, no, you can rent space on a private jet. You can do that.
Well,
you can do charter flights, things like that.
When I say so-called private, I'm more referring to the jets that are owned by some crash shop businessman or someone, and they use that as their personal jet. It's like the only problem these people have with private jets is that someone owns a jet that they don't rent out to other people. It's like, is that really your only problem?
Yeah,
that's true, Master of Muppets. Any people want to assume any mistrust of government is a conspiracy theory. Yep.
Yeah.
Even though you say there's no conspiracy there, what are you talking about? It's a conspiracy. Then shut up. Oh, great! Another nation question. My nation should only help other nations when it suits our interests.
How about you just let people do whatever the fuck they want as long as they're not hurting anyone else?
Yeah, neutral.
If a company in nation A wants to voluntarily trade with another company in nation B, why should you try to stop them?
All right, home stretch 142 of 144. Abortion should always be legal. Sure, I don't like it, but I don't want to ban it.
Yeah.
People should question the actions of those in power. Yep. Genetic modification research should be legal on humans. Well, yeah, because there's been a lot of good stuff that's come out about that.
As long as it's voluntary and not you're capturing prisoners and injecting them with stuff against their will.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this is the last one, so let's see what happens when I hit agree. And 6 triangles. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Results, let's see. Economics. Fanatic markets. Control 0%, regulation 0%, markets 100%. Yay, markets. Personal freedom, fanatic freedom. Freedom 92%, security
how
0%.
You're fanatical. Why are you fanatical about freedom? Yeah.
And truth 7.1%. I don't think you can see these on the, they're scrolling off the bottom there.
Radicalism in the pursuit of liberty is not a vice.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see if
I
I
think
can
you kind
get
of
these
did a
to show
quickie
up
on that
the
a long
screen.
time ago, where it's like, what? You don't want me to take your stuff? I'm only going to take a couple things. Don't be a radical.
Yeah, well, it's extremism in pursuit of liberty is no vice. Moderation in pursuit of justice is no virtue. All right, culture is freedom. This one must have been one of the ones with a lot of bad questions. Tradition, 9.5%. Progress, 23.8%. Freedom, 66.7%. Equality, extreme burden. Opportunity, 25%. Outcome, 0%. Burden, 75%. I don't know what burden is supposed
What
to
does
mean.
any of those mean?
Yeah. Like, what are you trying to say? Like, what are you saying? Are you saying, am I a bad person? Am I a good person? Or
Well, it's not trying to say good or bad. It's just trying to say that's where you are. But I don't know what I don't know what burden means here in the context of equality.
Yeah.
All right, government, fanatic, minarchy, democracy 0%, authority 0%, minarchy 100%. I guess they didn't have one for anarchy. And foreign policy, this must have been another one with a lot of bad questions I answered.
I think the reason why it doesn't have one for you is because you're pro capitalism, and I guess the creators think, but if you're capitalist, then you can't be an anarchist. Why? Well, because capitalism requires hierarchies, and anarchists are against that.
No, I think it's just they don't have a category for that because it's either democracy, authority, or minarchy. Those are the 3 options.
Well, I've always liked to say if minarchy is defined as the government should only be as big as it absolutely needs to be, yeah, I agree with that, because I don't think there's any need for government.
The government that governs best governs least, and the government that governs least is no government at all. All right, so yeah, foreign policy must have been another one with a lot of bad questions that I answered neutral to, because it says imperialism 14.3%, which I'm not imperialist at all. Isolationism 50%. I'm not isolationist at all, but I think a lot of people like use isolationism to mean like you don't want the military stomping around everywhere. And then globalism 35.7%. But what's globalism? Are you talking about global markets? Or are you talking about global governments?
Yeah.
SKM, compare California to Florida, you'll see why governing less is better. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
I think that's it, Master of Muppets. Only right-wingers can be conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
No, there is nothing below the percentage breakdown. That's it. That's the bottom of the page. That's it. That's the bottom. And then a share your results link. I don't think any of these here are links. Let's see what happens when I hit the... Oh, that's back at the start there. All right, economics, control. People who believe in control believe the most... Well, the economics is pretty... I mean, personal freedom, truth. Believe people should be held accountable for misleading statements. Culture. Here we are. Equality. Burden. People who believe in equality of burden believe that no person should have to give up a disproportionate amount of what they have earned to allow others to be able to succeed. Okay, I'll go along with that. Blake says, what have you heard about Biden's gun control executive order? The best thing I can do to you on that is point you to Collier Noir and Liberty Doll, because they've both done good coverage of that. Oh, you're welcome, Merchant. Oh, yeah, the foreign policy. Let's look at this one. Oh, yeah, minarchy. Minarchy is what you said, Pip. People who believe in minarchy believe the government should be small or even non-existent. So they're counting anarchy in with minarchy. They did not have any questions on Mark and Reprisal SKM. All right, so foreign policy. Imperialism believed their nation has a right to influence other nations for its own gain. People who believe in isolationism believe that their nation should not get involved with the other nations, instead focusing on itself. Well, what if you don't believe either one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's why I got 50% on that. And then globalism. People who believe in globalism believe that their nation should ally and influence other nations for the benefit of the world's population. Yeah, there are so many double-edged swords in there.
Oh,
or even
yeah.
triple-edged swords. A mag ban is next to useless due to 3D printing. Yep, that's true. I mean, you gotta think the magazine is probably the easiest part of the gun to make, even if you don't have a 3D printer. Because what is it? It's a bunch of bullets and a spring. You know.
It's a couple of sheets of metal welded together with a spring and a follower on the inside.
Yeah. Because the thing is, the round is actually ejected by the recoil, and it's just the fact
or
that
gas.
Yeah, but it's just the fact that you've got an empty chamber, that there's nothing in the way of the spring pushing up the next round. That's how the next round gets loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring up examples of hopper-fed firearms, like the Nordenfeld gun, or was it the Type 99 used by the Japanese in World War II?
Type 11, Type 11 machine gun.
Oh yeah, that's right. Or any kind of belt-fed machine, like any kind of belt-fed firearm that doesn't have a magazine, technically speaking.
And DIY guns like the FGC-9, yep. Well, I mean, they've always been, I covered this a long time ago, you know, those little places where they're just using battery-operated power tools in, you know, mud huts in the Philippines, and they're making, you know, fully automatic assault rifles for the Japanese Yakuza and people like that. To sell on the black market, yeah. Yep. Yep, it's just the black market. That's the only thing you're going to do. All right. Well, I guess that's all we came here to do tonight. That's pretty cool. Blake says, I think the problem with the foreign policy definitions is the test makers assume that only the government can interact with people from other nations. Well, see, that's why I kept having a problem with the word nation. Because what are you talking about? Are you talking about the government, or are you talking about the people of the country? So free trade is globalism, no war is isolation. Yeah, I don't know.
In all honesty, Shane, that's why when people bring up NAFTA as an example of, see, NAFTA is proof that free trade doesn't work. It's like, well, the proof that it's not free trade is the fact that it's an agreement, because you don't need a treaty to implement free trade.
So how much longer on this vid do you have? Yeah, I think we're wrapping it up now because we went through the quiz, and that's what we came here to do. And I also know my new audio setup's working, so please let me know what you think about this. Does it sound better? Does it sound worse? You like it? I think I'm actually doing better now that I can hear myself. So many people know how to make 3D printed guns, and I have yet to see a shooting with one. It's like free people use guns responsibly. And that's true. But also, I think the 3D printed guns, I don't really think they're like a full. I mean, you can 3D print an AR-15, but I don't think it's going to be like the AR-15s you actually go and actually buy.
Yeah.
Not yet,
Well,
at any
and
rate.
regardless of 3D printers, I mean, I tell this to people all the time, proof that even if you ban 3D printers, people are still going to make guns is look up the British Sten gun and look up the Ludi gun.
Yeah.
Actually,
and the
the
thing is,
Ludi
I think it's still the case that 3D printing is kind of expensive. And how much are AR-15s? Yeah.
Well, and going back to what I said earlier, I mean, look up the Ludi gun. That gun was actually made for the sole purpose to prove to British politicians that it's impossible because it was made by a guy who literally made a 9mm submachine gun using machinist parts that he made in his own garage, and it worked.
Yeah, you can 3D metal, but they're actually a lot more expensive. So, again, when you can get a good rifle for less than $1,000.
Yeah. I mean, heck, the guns would be
audio
even cheaper
from 2008. Yeah, the audio was kind of grody in 2008. I mean, for the time, I guess it wasn't bad. I was trying to, do the proper, audio post on it. And also, I think with 3Ding metal, there's still resolution issues. Because I think for a lot of the parts of a gun, you'd still have to file it down to, get rid of the jangies in a lot of important parts. But still, I guess you just need like a few parts 3D printed in metal, and then the rest can be plastic. All right. Anything else anyone has to say before we call it a night?
Nope.
Well, you were talking about Machiavelli earlier, so I sort of make a point to make. It's like I think that Machiavelli's work should best be interpreted as this is what a politician, or prince or whoever needs to do in order to be successful in government.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
In my opinion, that's a pretty damning report on the nature of government.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Machiavellian himself said it's better to be feared than loved if you can't be both.
Yeah, search Control
so
Q on
that
YouTube.
That only shows what kind of character he was. Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to get into the whole. I try not to get into the whole Hoppe debate.
Yeah, because to be honest, the few Hoppes I've spoken to, it seems like they can't agree on what Hoppianism is all about.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just trying to get them. I just really want to pin them down on the whole Covenant community thing, because that seems to be where the biggest point of departure is. It's just if you're going to try to avoid points like that, then I'm not going to be really impressed with you. But none of that should reflect badly on Hoppe himself. It's just the Hoppians, the people who are. If people are evil, the last thing you want is a government. Yeah, I think that was Robert Lefebvre who said that if people are good, you don't need a government. If people are bad, you don't dare have one. Which sounds like a good concluding thought. So, thanks, Pip. Thanks, Chris. Thanks to everyone who chatted and participated with me. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay